So we're going to talk a little bit today about real estate investing. It can be a very daunting process for a lot of people. You know, there's all kinds of different ways to invest. You could be purchasing a new property in the hopes of, a long-term rental that cash flows for you, of course. You could also be thinking of buying a property that is maybe in a place where you'd be able to do a short-term rental like a VRBO or something along those lines. And also, you could take your own house that you are currently living in if you're planning on downsizing or possibly just moving to another area. You have quite a bit of equity in your home and you're thinking, my monthly payment is pretty low, or we own it outright, so we might as well rent it. So lots of different ways that you could make money as far as being in the rental real estate game. So I am now joined by somebody that I know very well. This is my husband, Joe Sakala. He is a retired police officer. He was with Phoenix Police for 23 years. And now he and I work together. I do a lot of the forward-facing, working with buyers and sellers and all of that. And we have over the years picked up some investment properties, and that's pretty much what you do, is handle all of those. So Talk a little bit about how we felt when we were purchasing our very first one.
Well, it's just the fear of the unknown. It's just that first one we did was pretty nerve-wracking. But, after that first one, you get your feet under you kind of get things going. And
we were stressed about it.
I lost sleep over it, yeah. And then now we'll make an offer on a house. And I don't say we don't think about it, but it's a lot easier now because we know the do's and don'ts and things like that. But that first one is the fear of the unknown. You reach out to people that know what they're doing, take their advice, employ that in your strategy, and then go from there.
Right, and I made some notes because I have some things that I want to chat about. So the first one that we purchased was in great condition, although it did need, a little bit of remodeling. It needed some paint. Actually, we redid the bathroom.
We did a pretty much a major bathroom remodel, which made it, because it was a one bed, three bed, one bath. We had to make the bath kind of a little bigger, a little nicer. But, being able to do most of the work myself, that helps with timelines, that helps with the cost. So that's always nice. And if you're not a handy person, you can find somebody that is a handy person that you can employ to help you with that. You don't always have to hire a licensed contractor and pay retail for everything. Right. You can sub it out yourself. You can find plumbers and tile people and carpet people and sub it out yourself to save money that way. So you don't always have to pay retail hiring a licensed contractor for everything.
Yep, exactly. So going through my list here, I wanted to talk about the first thing. This is really what's very daunting for people, is choosing a renter.
Yeah.
And I also want to mention, and this is advice that my mom had given me, because you and I looked at, when we were first married, we looked at purchasing a property, probably an investment property in like 2006, 2007, which looking back now would have been a horrible idea. Yeah. It was in Maricopa. It was exploding with growth, a new build. And I'll never forget my mom saying to us, "Are you guys in a position to carry this for 6 months if you don't have a renter?" And we were like, No, we don't.
So we didn't.
At that point, we're young family, and we didn't. And we did not pull the trigger on that. And a lot of people that I knew didn't get that kind of advice, and they ended up not being able to rent the home, and a lot of people had to do, short sales and foreclosures and that kind of thing. Yeah. So anyway, but how do you recommend going about finding somebody that's a suitable renter?
Well, the best advice I got from a friend who had rentals was, don't be in a hurry. Don't settle for the first guy with cash in their hand. Do your background checks, call their references, call their current renters. And we had a recent one that we almost rented to somebody. They checked all the boxes, and I called their current landlord, and they said, do not rent to this person. It's horrible. So just don't be in a hurry. Take your time. If you got to carry the mortgage carry that mortgage for a month to get the right renter in there, because knock on wood, we have great renters in our properties. Yeah. They pay on time. Yep. And it's because we did the due diligence, we did the background checks, we did the financial checks, we did the criminal checks, we called all their references, and now it kind of runs itself.
Remember the one we had that was actually in a higher end neighborhood, if you will, and it was the only one that we did not call the previous landlord, remember?
Yep.
And they destroyed.
Yep.
Refrigerator.
Oh yeah.
Built-in microwave.
Yep. And that was our
learning lesson.
First or second time hiring, having somebody rent from us. And we learned the lesson the hard way.
We learned the lesson the hard way because that just eats into your profit. So That's not a good thing. So you put them through a screening, though. Tell me just a little bit about the screening process.
Basically, I have all the prospective renters fill out an application with all their data. That's one way. Just by reading the data, I can see if they kind of check the boxes.
Right.
Then once I narrow it down to like 2 or 3 families or people, I run them through. There's an online resource I use. You run them through. It runs them through the I think it's TransUnion, the credit service.
Right.
So it checks for their credit, their criminal history, their eviction history, and things like that. I get the report, and then that helps me pick my final. I've kind of narrowed it down at this point. That's my final thing, and I look at it, and it. From there I can make my final decision on if they're going to be a good renter or not.
Right. And obviously calling their past landlord, that's
huge.
like number one. So the other thing is, management. There's a lot of issues that can arise. I know that scares people.
Sure. So
we've had a few of those incidents.
Yeah, so when I was still on the job as a police officer, we fumbled our way through a rental with another person, and it was a horrible experience because none of us really had the time to manage it properly.
Right.
Now that I'm retired, this is my full-time job, it's easy. So if you're not in my position where you can make it your full-time job,
right.
I would say either hire somebody.
Yeah.
We've helped clients with this in the past.
All the
either
time.
Us managing it or finding somebody to help manage it. But as long as there's just a point of contact, it could be a handyman, it could be the cleaning lady, it could be somebody like that that's just going to just help with that first contact, solve that problem. Usually when they call you with a problem, it's something really simple. Send the handyman over there.
Yeah.
They fix the light bulb, they change the air filter, whatever.
We did have a water main break, though, on a historic property that we have.
Yep.
And that set us back like $6,500.
Yep,
those are things that, they do eat your profit a bit, but you have to also be prepared for that kind of thing.
Yep, absolutely.
So the other thing is, we do have, I think, rules and regulations in place and systems and processes.
Yeah.
But talk about how important it is to put your eyes on the property.
Yep.
And know the
first
legality
with the application,
of it.
in the application, there's a ton of things that are legally binding on how they treat the property and so on. I, at the advice of a friend who owns rentals, I created an addendum with some rules and regulations, which actually makes it even more stringent. And then I actually do inspections. I'd say minimum once a quarter. I reach out to the family a week in advance, tell them I'm going to swing by.
Right.
I'm checking for water leaks. I'm checking for anything that's I'm not really checking for the cleanliness of the place. It's more just things that will cause damage. So, if they have a pet that's digging at the the drywall, those are things we can fix. If there's a leak under the sink, I want to make sure that we get that remedied and things like that. But it's just, and they know that I'm going to be coming by now and again, and they, they're not doing anything nefarious or illegal or But again, that goes back to getting a good renter in there.
True.
You're not going to run into that.
True. And then lastly, we like to think that this is true of us, which I think it is, that you have to be a good landlord.
Absolutely.
And we have a lot of people that have been in our properties for years.
Yeah. And so my advice is, one, don't be greedy. Obviously this is a money-making venture, so you want to make money, but don't come up from a place of greed because, one, you're going to let your guard down because all you're going to see is money.
Right.
But two, not only do I want a good renter in there, but I want to be a good landlord for them. So I always tell them, I'm here for you. This is my house. I want you to enjoy it. You're paying good money to be here. If there's a problem, let me know.
Yeah.
We can work on it together. And I have one family that's been in, I think they're in their 4th year in one of our rentals, and I've only raised the rent by $100. And the only reason I raised the rent was because the pool service fee went up and the landscape fee went up. But otherwise, I'm happy with them. They're happy with me.
Right.
Sometimes, you want to raise the rent by $100, $200 a month, so you evict them, or not evict them, but that the time runs out. You tell them goodbye.
Right.
But then you got to go in there. You got to flip the place. You got to clean it, carpet it.
Is it really worth it?
So by the time you do all that, you're going to make $200 more a month. But what have you put into it to flip it?
Right.
If you've got a good renter in there,
Yep.
I look at it as a relationship.
For sure.
And they're good to you, you're good to them, and it's this perfect scenario, and everybody's happy, and it just runs itself.
Yep, and we've had times when AC units have gone out, and in Phoenix, in July or August, that's horrible.
Yep.
And we've put them up in a hotel right away.
Yep. And in that scenario, don't look at you got to come out of your pocket. What I do is I say, go put yourself in a hotel. I give them kind of a price range, and then just send me the receipts, minus that off your rent, and then they're paying the same for rent. You're making a little less, but it's not like you have to come out of pocket and pay for all this, a 5-day stay at the Ritz and something like that. It's just go get a place. I'll get it fixed and then go from there. But these things come up, and it's not the end of the world.
Right.
But
I think another thing that we should touch on for sure and that I love because I love design and, you know, all of that. We always improve the homes that we purchase. We make a neighborhood better because of us buying the home.
Absolutely. And actually, a perfect example is we bought one up in Prescott, and it was an eyesore in the neighborhood, historic neighborhood, gorgeous neighborhood, but this house in particular was an eyesore.
It was a short sale that nobody was purchasing.
And I had a neighbor kind of come over and go, "Oh, great, another rental." And I said, "Wait till I'm done, and you're going to see how nice this place looks." And now, every time somebody's walking by, they're thanking us. They're telling us,
beautiful.
We restored the yard, we restored the outside. It looks like a period house, turn of the century. So even though it's a rental, I still take pride in it, and I want it to. I want to be a good neighbor. I always give my phone number to all the neighbors. If there's ever a problem, call me first. I'll take care of it.
And the other thing is, I think this is also interesting for people to know that are thinking about, you know, like, what do I cover and what do they cover? And we always make sure that we only have one house with a pool, because typically we don't like to buy homes that have pools, because it's just can be a
one
headache.
More thing,
and it's an extra expense, and you know, you want to make sure that it's being maintained monthly. But we just roll the cost of paying for that
and landscape,
and also landscaping.
So pool, landscape, we roll into the price of the rent, because we learned our lesson the hard way again. First time we said, "Oh yeah, landscape's on you. You have to do all the landscape." And guess what? They didn't do it. And I had weeds up to my chest, and you know, so I say, I'll take care of the landscape. I just roll it into the rent price. I look at the rent prices and I adjust it accordingly. Cover pool and landscape in the cost of the house, or in the cost of the rent, and that way the house stays nice.
Just makes everybody happier, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate all of the information. And if you have any questions whatsoever, if you need, you know, help or guidance on screening, or you're looking to purchase an investment property, please reach out. The Sakala Group would be happy to help you.